All right. Good to see everybody. It's awesome. We've been doing these free ones on here all the way since, I want to say 2020. Just most of you weren't in here. But back in 2020, we didn't have a real group set up yet. It wasn't even what you think it was. A lot of us came from mixed matched places. We just kind of ran into each other on the internet. And we realized that sometimes we were surrounding ourselves with the wrong people. And it's very important to understand to not surround yourself with the wrong people. This is a lesson I should have learned when I was like 15. But it happens, all the way until you finally snap out of it. And that happened for me probably in around 2019, 2020, when I got real heavy in crypto. And I started realizing I put myself around the wrong people. And then we formed this. All right. Once we formed this, we had Discord just as a place for everyone to meet, because another guy who ended up stealing content later on showed me how to use Discord. He's like, hey, just do it over here. You don't have to have a YouTube channel or anything. I'm like, cool. So we started doing these type sessions on Discord way back then. I then used those to show everyone what to do. Yeah. And then people took that and then went wild with it. And here we are, 5,000 people in Discord, 15,000 people on Twitter, 10,000 people on YouTube. It's been a wild ride. So I thought, what better time to redo that kind of stuff? And we started the YouTube channel for that reason, by the way. People just want to hear me say a price, which sucks, but that's not what we do. What we do is chart, and whatever the asset is, the chart is a derivative, or the chart is a answer, or the price is an answer on the chart. That's it. It doesn't matter whether you're charting a crypto, a stock, a water, height weight ratios, or whatever. So I want to do these to give people a good base. And then if you look to the right on the chat here, if you click on the right, there's a little chat box you can click on. I'm going to reply to this with a finger pointing up. That's the list of the ones we've already done. So we did 821 EMA, trend lines, support resistance, some psychology, and moving averages. So real quick, I'll touch on those. What is a trend line? Well, we already know we're looking for highs and lows, lower highs, lower lows. We want to start on a high time frame. All right, this is the XRP chart that we use every time for this. And why do I use XRP? Because this is one of the most technically sound cryptos ever. It's extremely technical. Only once or twice has it ever strayed from the rules that it follows very rigidly. I've got trend lines marked out. I've got little humps marked out, but I'll show you real quick. We're looking for highs and lows. Obviously, we had highs and we had lows. And I don't know why it's not drawing. Give it a second. It's struggling. It's TradingView tripping. Well, let me pull it up on the Google then. Oh my God, saving changes. Whatever, dude. So let's go to, this is going to be bright on everybody's eyes, and I'm sorry. I got to do the whole login thing. Shit, because the app isn't working. Well, that was relatively quick. Yeah, but it didn't save my settings. I know why. Hang on. I got to bounce out the settings here real quick, and then we'll go right into it. There we go. That's more like it. So we're looking for highs and lows. So this has happened to me before where TradingView app just kind of quits and I have to go back to the old school internet. We have highs and we have lows and we have highs and we have lows, right? We're looking for higher highs and higher lows for an uptrend and lower highs, lower lows for a downtrend. We get that here. We get highs and we get lows and we get lower highs. We get higher lows and lower highs. So it's half of nothing. It's all still trending down. Then we get lower lows and lower highs, and then it gets real dicey, and then we get in here and we see it break this trend. And how do we know where to put our trend line? Well, if we step back on the monthly, not the weekly, I always tell everyone to start way back in time on the high time frames. And why is that? Well, there's better answers on the high time frame. They are easier to see, easier to point out, and easier to follow. All right. I got the same thing drawn I just drew, only the drawings are a little tinier. And I'll do it a little better here. That's a low, that's a lower high. This is a higher low and a higher high. We had a lot of lows, and suddenly we're getting highs. Excellent. So in order to mark that and make sure we're right, we use a trend line. Trend lines do not get drawn until you've identified some kind of trend. That trend here was down. Why do I say that? Because you had a lot of lower highs that were all underneath the same line. That line goes from the wicks from the top, and you can just stretch it out to the next lower high and the next lower high, and this line can run till infinity. All right. Some of these, if you go back and look at history, maybe one of your favorite fake nodes, they still haven't broken this line, and they won't. All right. But the point is, the line comes after you've identified the trend, and that's in the other video, right? So I've got trend lines drawn out for you here. Already I have a big downtrend, and then you see that changed in time, and that was no longer a downtrend. It became an uptrend. It was pretty awesome. Right, after that, that trend line failed right here. That became another downtrend, and downtrend we went. After a while, that trend broke. SEC news, but hey, look, it kept going. This is why I don't care so much about the news. It doesn't really affect me and how I trade and what I do with my investments. As you see, the SEC news just moved that right back down to the trend line and right back up to where it was, like nothing happened. From there, that uptrend failed and we started another downtrend, which brings us to where we are now. Our trend line that was red has broken. Excellent. That means now we have an uptrend somewhere. Just like we draw downtrends, we can draw uptrends. Now I'll drop down a cycle here so we can see it a little closer. Here is our weekly chart. You can see we have some higher lows and higher highs in here. You see that? I'll mark them. You had some lows and some higher lows and higher highs and higher lows and higher highs and higher lows and higher highs. And we're probably going to get another higher low in here somewhere, aren't we? Because that seems to be the pattern here, doesn't it? A lot of higher lows and higher highs, but they're taking their sweet time. There is no moon soon. It's very calm. After that one candle, everything else is chilled, yeah? So we have a trend line here we can draw. I think it's fairly obvious. You can see that right there. Now we have an uptrend. Until this uptrend fails, I'm to expect overall more up. It's very simple. Now, we are a long way away from that trend line, aren't we? Like a long way. All right, that's many, many, many weeks. Okay, so we may not get our all up anytime soon. We drop down even a little lower to daily. You can fine tune your line a little bit here. You can see I'm a New York mile from that trend line. Okay, cool. That's trend lines. We can throw our 821 EMA up here. Very easy to use the 821 EMA. Green over purple, good. Purple over green, bad. You want 2 candles closed for an entry in either direction. 2 over the green for a go. 2 under the purple for a, hey, it's time to think about what I'm doing here. And look what's happening. After all that green and staying over the 8 EMA, it has started to slip, and now it's 2 candles closed under the 21 EMA. This is exactly what we talked about. And a sign that more down may be coming. Now, what do? Do you sell it all? Do you sell part? Well, that's up to you. We do have 2 closes under the 21, but you don't have an 821 cross just yet. So maybe sell half, maybe sell 10%, maybe sell whatever you're comfortable with. Up to you. It's up to you. You should be able to see video. You got to click on the little thing down there. I've got the screen shared. You should be able to see the video. You just got to click on my thing right there. I can't share my camera because if I do, then only 25 people will be able to see it. Yeah, it's live. I'm looking at it. It says go live. Oh, hang on a second and I'll look through this. I'm just going over old stuff anyway, so. Yeah, it says I'm streaming. Yeah, share my screen. Change windows. Yeah, you should have it there. It should be up. Do you guys not see it? I'm looking at it right there. I'm looking at my screen on Discord. Ah, okay, it's working now. Okay, cool. Sorry. So anyway, 2 under the 21 EMA, as I was saying there, same difference, right? Nonetheless, same thing. You get the idea. 2 candles under the 21 EMA. Here's the trend line I was talking about. I'm recording this whole thing too. So trend line's broke. You have a green trend line going up. It's really not that complicated. They can go back all the way to the monthly, and I'll show you that real quick so everyone can see it. Back down to the monthly chart. It's very, very clean how this works. Trend break, bounce, go. Trend fail. Trend break, bounce, go. Trend fail. Trend break. Do we have our bounce and go yet? No, we don't. So it's likely to do that, isn't it? We're just following the patterns. You can kind of see that. Now you can see the daily 821 EMA here. You have 2 under. Do you sell 10%, 5%, 100%, 1%, whatever you're comfortable with? I know what I'm going to sell. So I see like there could be some more down here coming soon, but I don't want to sell it all in case it reverses back on me, right? It's always what everybody says. Well, what if it keeps going? Okay, I get it. So don't sell it all. Sell part. Right? In fact, this is a key lesson in selling when it's high, because look at XTC right now compared to this. XTC is still going. Wouldn't you have liked to have sold high, like up here on XRP, rather than way down here? Well, here's your chance with XTC. It's doing the exact same thing, only outperforming XRP as usual. All right, so that's the 821. That's trend lines, basic stuff. Moving averages, you already get moving averages. They're rolling moving averages. Our rolling support and resistance, we look for bounces when we get to them. For XRP here, they're going to be all wacky because it went so far, so fast. But look, they're all in order, 50, 100, 200. If this can't hold the 821 EMA, the next logical place for this thing to go is down here to the 50 moving average at some point, which right now is about 60 cents. If you remember, I've said a lot. I've said a lot that, I thought 60 cents was the ceiling here. It broke 60 cents. Okay, cool. I'm happy about that, honestly, because a lot of people got to be able to sell who've been waiting forever. But here we are coming back to that 60-cent level. I think 60 to 50 cents may be where we stop and take a break. And this thing thinks about what it wants to do and maybe gets its mind right and goes again. But we'll see. I mean, we've got an entire fall and winter to go. Now, let's take some time to talk about what we're going to talk about today, the RSI. I don't need any other indicators up here. This is the RSI. What does RSI stand for? RSI means Relative Strength Index. Does it mean something's definitely happening because this indicator said so? No. So first things first, warning, none of these secondary indicators that I'm showing you here are the be-all, end-all. Yes, that is for sure what's going to happen. All of these indicators are for confluence. What is confluence? Confluence is extra confirmation on top of what you already thought. All right. So let me give you guys some confirmation. Let me give you guys some confluence. I think XRP is going to $10,000. So I go to Twitter and I type in XRP $10,000, and 5,000 people all think the same thing. That is confluence. Is it hopium? Yes, it is. But confluence, right? So it's the same thing with these indicators. I don't want you to think, yes, definitely, because this says it. That's not how it works, right? But there are things inside the RSI that help us out. Essentially, you have a purple line, which is the moving average, which is the relative strength. And then you have the yellow, which is another average. You don't really need the yellow line. It just comes on there. That's why it's on there. I'll actually take it off because it's not, super needed. Let me do that now. Settings and turn that RSI off. There we go. All right, so the first pieces of the RSI are what you see in purple. In purple is what we call nominal trading, normal trading. Inside here, there'll be trends, and you can clearly see these trends. If you just take a trend line tool, you're not going to be perfect here, just being close. You can clearly see those trends inside of the nominal trading zone, which is the purple banner. All right. Now, outside that purple banner has important meaning. All right. So below the purple banner that you see there is what we call oversold. Now, the example I like to give of this is I want you to imagine, I used to do HVAC work. All right. So one of the companies that hired the company that I worked for to come fix their HVAC, believe it or not, was Walmart. And I wasn't just a Walmart store, it was a Walmart distribution center. So I would have to go work at the Walmart distribution center and fix their air conditioners in their canteen and their offices and their corporate whatever crap, right? So I want you to imagine Amazon's a good one too, but shelves full of dog food, just bagged dog food, right? You've got 100 shelves and 99 of them are full of dog food. Then you get in 2 more transfer truckloads of dog food. You've got nowhere to put it. When something is overbought, you have too much of it. Okay? That is the top side of the purple bands. All right? Overbought. You have too much dog food. What do you think you need to do with that dog food? Buy more of it? No. Anybody with a sense of brain, the size of a regular person would say, hey, okay, maybe we should sell some here. In fact, Walmart would say, how about we do like a sale and knock 25% off, and then we sell all this dog food because we got too much now. I'm like, damn, that's a good idea. So Walmart sales. So when something is overbought, the consideration is I should probably sell. All right. Just like once Walmart sells all that dog food, now they've got 2 shelves with dog food on them and no other shelves. And guess what, folks? They have oversold. Meaning, hey, now we need to fill the shelves back up. We're going to have to do what? We're going to have to buy. That's very basic for the RSI. When you're oversold, you look for a spot to buy. When you're overbought, you look for a spot to sell. That's it. I'm not telling you that's definitely what you should do, but I want you to use this RSI as a confluence on what you already see. Perhaps you see a trend line and that thing's just falling knife skyrocketing down. All right. But you've drawn support and resistance lines and you go, I think this is going to bounce on support. You see it hit that support line. You see it's oversold. You take a chance. You set a stop loss because, hey, stop losses are important. And we see what happens. If it doesn't work out, that's fine, but it doesn't mean it wasn't worth taking a chance. All right. There are other parts of the RSI that are important as well. Right. So that's overbought, oversold. The midline here, it's very important. The dotted line in the middle, that right there is called the midline. Why do I call that the midline? Well, you'll see a lot of times that when something goes overbought, that as soon as it goes overbought, it comes back to the midline and thinks about it before it does anything else. Case in point, this run from 2020, right? This thing shot up, went super overbought, and there is a level to overbought, right? It's 70 and 30 are the basic levels for oversold, overbought. However, what you will see happen, like what happened with Bitcoin earlier this year in January, the thing went to 90 on the RSI, which is on the right over here, the scale. You see this went to 86. It has never since 2018 been that high. In 2018, it went to 95. Rarely ever will you see them get up that high. And hey, guess what? It did it. And to give you an example of another one going up really high like that, give me a second here to, I don't know why this thing does this every time. Look at XDC right now. This is the weekly RSI on XDC. 84. What's the last time XDC did anything like this? Anything like this. 2021, middle of the bull market, 92. As you see, when it gets super overbought, it doesn't stay up there long either, does it? Very rapidly pulls back from there. So when you have situations like this that come about and you go, damn, dude, it's not just overbought, it's super overbought. Should you really be piling on more? Or should you be thinking about doing the other thing that everyone else does besides buying and maybe selling some? All right. Go back to XRP because I don't want to change from that. Just wanted to show you XDC real quick and the ungodly overbought situation that it's in. All right, so you've went overbought. Now what? Like I said, once this thing goes overbought, it tends to go back to where it started, to the 50 area, right? There's also another area around 40 that I like. I call this the action line because a lot of times you'll see if it fails the 50, it goes to the 40 and then back to the 50 and then thinks about what it's doing as a secondary action line, like the 50 line and the 40 line. Let's see them play around there. And that's exactly what happened here. This thing started trending up all the way back in June of 2022. But slowly, and then bam. All right. Now, while this was happening, you weren't getting a whole lot of up, were you? Matter of fact, it was kind of going sideways. Wasn't getting a lot of up. So that's what I'm going to show you next, but not yet. I want you to first see the action lines, the green 50 line, the green 40 line, right? Super overbought, likely we're going back somewhere. Now we do have a trend line here, so maybe this thing comes down and tags this trend line and then goes up more, right? We'll see. That's the parts to the RSI. That's it, folks. That's nothing fancy about that. That's the basic stuff. Overbought, oversold, and there's a trend in there somewhere. Just like there was a trend back here. Can't miss that, can you? That's clearly down. Down, 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 down. And finally it broke. It's not that complicated, right? We don't got to overthink this. It's not worth freaking out over, all right? Now, the next thing the RSI shows you, which is pretty darn cool, and you don't have to use this again, but it's pretty darn cool. The RSI will show you divergences or convergences. What the hell does that mean? All right. So a good way to think about this, not yet, Philip. A good way to think about this is the Grand Canyon. The Grand Canyon is a divergent boundary. What does that mean? It means separate, apart, diverge. Just to the east of that is a mountain range in Las Vegas. That is a convergent boundary where things come together. They converge and the ground pushes up in the air, causes a mountain. All right, convergent and divergent. So we don't have to be rocket scientists here to see that all of this was going down ever since 2021. All right, but right around here it got flat. Yeah, everyone would agree. It kind of like it was going to throw a head and shoulders and go down, but it didn't. It rejected and then went up. Very good. This looks flat or sideways to me with a little bit of down, but a lot flat and sideways. You could argue that pretty much that was dead flat and sideways, maybe even up a little bit, right? So we can look at our RSI and we draw our trend line like we did before. What does our trend line show us? That our trend was going up here. So our trend was going up, but our price was flat. This is called bullish divergence. When you have two different things happening, you have down or flat on the price and going up on the RSI. The strength is building slowly, but the strength is building. The price is still flat, but the strength is gaining momentum. This is bullish divergence. All right. So now it's really moving up over here. Yeah. Can't argue that. That's an uptrend. So if we just go back to here to match the price, they're both going up now. Yeah. You've got RSI going up and price going up. This is not bullish divergence. This is bullish convergence. They're both doing the same thing. Bullish convergence. Good. Bullish divergence. Still good. Does it work the other way? Yeah, it does. All right. So we'll go back here to our previous move right over here. Now, price was still trying to go up right here, yeah? You can see that. Price tried to go up. At the same time, momentum was still going down. And yes, it broke that momentum, but you had a down or flat price and a falling RSI or falling strength. You had bearish divergence. In fact, this keeps getting drawn out way over here. You know, right in through here, you thought this was going up again, yeah? Oh, we thought it was going up, and then all along, You can draw it really, really tight if you'd like, whatever. I'm just drawing it. But you had sideways price and a falling strength. This is bearish divergence. This is bad. This is price not reacting to the strength, and it will eventually catch up and react to it. All right. Then once it starts falling, it only gets worse. We can take this over to here, right about the peak right there. Now you have downward price and downward strength. That's bearish divergence. You should not try to buy bearish divergence or bearish convergence. It's more worth a risk to buy bullish convergence or bullish divergence. All right. I want you to practice with these because this can help a lot when you're unsure. Like, man, I don't really know what this is going to do. Fine. Let's look at the RSI, right? Well, what does it say? Well, we got some bullish divergence. Well, cool. Let's look at the 821 EMA. Am I getting close? Well, not quite. So it looks like it might break the 821 right over here, and you got bullish convergence. Well, I mean, it's not so much of a stress now, is it? You got a little bit of confluence to go with that. I think it's going to cross feeling. Okay. That's the whole point. All right. So really, honestly, that's it for the RSI. There are more things you can do. I don't think that's wise. For the most part, everyone in here is either learning or trying to learn some TA. That's the whole point of our Discord. I don't expect everyone to jump in here and be a pro. I would love to have a bunch of pros in here, but it's not the way it works. So most of the time when people come in here, they want to learn or they're learning. All right. So cool. I want you to take this and then go with it. And if you want to take it farther, that's fine. I don't necessarily recommend that, but that's up to you. Okay. That's the RSI. If you have a question, please type it over in the box. All right. And we'll try to answer them. But that's it for the RSI. I'm going to take it off now because there's nothing else to it. All right. Next is the MACD. And by the way, if you don't have any of these, you just click on indicators and MACD and put a little star beside it and it'll save in your favorites. Here's a list of my favorites. You can go back and watch the recording if you'd like. All right. Then I have my scripts that came from the hashtag custom indicator scripts section that I just tagged in the chat box over there. In the pinned messages of that particular channel are all different indicators. You just copy and paste them into the Pine script at the bottom. If you have questions, please ask in that channel. People will try to help you out. But we have free indicators in here. Like Lux Algo and all the other people charge for indicators, and we don't do that. It's just part of the Discord. If you're a member of the Discord and you're a subscriber, well, you get this part of it for free. It's just part of it. Some people have made these. Some people have tested them and changed them, and we've went through different codes and tried to adapt stuff too. So anyway, back to MACD. I saved it my favorites, and right there it is, MACD. It doesn't just say MACD though. It says moving average convergence divergence. Interesting. That's what we just talked about with the RSI, right? Moving average convergence divergence. So that's exactly what we're going to do here with the MACD again. So MACD is very simple. I don't want you to overthink this. There's a few parts, just like the RSI. We'll start with the blue and the orange line. Okay. Orange line is a slow moving average. Blue line is a fast moving average. All right. You'll see a lot of times that the blue crosses the orange and you get a lot of up. You'll see a lot of times that the blue crosses down under the orange and you get a lot of down. All right. It's very simple, not that complicated to understand. Now, the orange line is actually the MACD line and the blue line is actually the trigger line, or you can flip them, however, call them whatever you want. But essentially, whenever we get blue crossing orange, we look for a place to buy. This is our confluence. All right. Hey, our blue has crossed the orange. What does it look like? First, I want you to understand that everything above the midline right here, and there's a midline right here, right, that separates green and red. Everything above this green line is more bullish than bearish. Everything down here is more bearish than bullish. Warning you, right? Because sometimes you're going to see this happen right here where the blue crosses the orange and then it goes right back down more. Don't say I didn't warn you. The blue, you're in the bearish trading zone down here. Be careful. All right. Next, after the blue and orange line, the trigger and the MACD line, is your histogram, the red and the green thing you see here. This is very simple. Dark green is more buyers than the session before, meaning I'm on a weekly chart than the week before. More buyers and more buyers and more buyers and more buyers. And now it's light green. Light green means less buyers than the session before. Obviously, more buyers than sellers, but less buyers than we had before. And you see that tapers off and tapers off and tapers off. And it actually turns red here for just a little bit. And then you get more buyers than sellers again, which is good. In case you don't know how an uptrend works, you need more buyers than sellers. If anybody remembers node season last year, people were trying to track while it was happening how many buyers and sellers there were so they could determine whether or not they should get out, right? During an uptrend, you're going to have more buyers than sellers. That's how a trend works. You're trending up, more buyers than sellers. You're immediately going to have more sellers than buyers when you're in a downtrend. A lot of these coins and nodes popped up right at the end of the bull market. All right. And after the end of the bull market happens and they roll over and you have more sellers than buyers, everyone starts talking that talk of, hey, I think I'm going to compound. Y'all remember that shit? I think I'm going to compound. There are more sellers than buyers. Is that wise? No, it's not. This helps you see that. The green shows you have more buyers. The light green shows you have less buyers, but still more than sellers. And the red shows you just the opposite. I have a lot of sellers. Pink, less sellers, but still a lot. Red, more sellers, less sellers, less sellers, less sellers. And then that flipped into buyers, right? That's called the histogram. Use it to your advantage. Don't go crazy with it. What do we see right now on XRP? We see that we have a blue over orange. Good. We have, it tried right here to cross over, didn't it? And it didn't. Just bounced perfectly. Blue over orange, still good. You had 3 green bars, 3 green, more buyers than seller bars. And look what's happened. You've got a light green now. So look back in history here and see what happens a lot of times. You get dark green, then once the light green starts, it doesn't stop. Now, obviously this did better, but this was the middle of the bull market. All right, we're not in a bull market right now. So again, a few greens and a few light greens and it was done. Few greens, few light greens, done. All the while, folks, we are still trending up here. So on the weekly chart, we may get more of a drop in buyers here. We still have more buyers than sellers, just slacking. Let's step it down to a daily chart. So from day to day, look at that. Sellers are pouring in where they're doing what we call taking profits. That's pretty easy to understand, isn't it? Taking profits, right? So as long as they continue to take profits and you don't see any more pink bars come in, that's not great. We're going to have more and more and more of this until we get to the point where we start to see the blue and orange separate, which is the next piece of the MACD. And this is my favorite piece of the MACD, okay? That moving average convergence divergence, the CD in the term MACD. When the blue and the orange get very far apart, you need to think about doing the opposite of whatever's happening. Right here, the blue and orange were a decent amount apart, and they kind of stayed that same way. And then it got up here to the top, and look how far apart they were. When you see them come far apart, you can bet your sweet butt they're going to turn around and come back together. And that's exactly what happened just a few days later. They came back and went together and crossed over. If you look back in history, you'll see a lot of times these lines just kind of hug each other. They're pretty darn close to each other. Occasionally, that changes. Very far apart, aren't they? And then as soon as that happened, they come back together. Right? That is divergence, far apart, the Grand Canyon, and then convergence, a mountain, a peak, a point. All right? And then after that, they kind of stayed symmetrical for a while. It got a little wide right here. And then they came back just a little bit. Then it just narrowed itself up and stayed pretty much symmetrical all the way down to here until it crossed over in May of 23. Now let's relate that to the price. If I can do that, Keith. There you go. All right. Let's zoom this in a little bit so we can see it a little better. Now, in relation to the price, what did the MACD do? So we see right over here when everybody was getting real excited about this, and I remember this, I actually bought and sold this and got really close to the top and was super tickled about it. Didn't get the exact one though. I actually bought and sold this, and when I saw this MACD crossover up here and I saw it bumping into this trend line, I said, you know what, I think I'm done. I think that's it. I had the trend line drawn just a touch different. It doesn't matter. Point is, this MACD crossed over, and once it crossed over, we got a whole bunch more down. It just continued to sail downward. You can see the MACD staying that way. And then, right as soon as we get a bit of a turn back up, and we can draw a trend line here and see that. See that there? We got a trend break, and right as soon as we got a trend break, the MACD had already turned up by the day before, which is pretty cool. Showed us something, didn't it? Then we rode up here, pretty symmetrical. Got a little bit far apart, but not too much. Then we seen it cross over right here, bumping into, that was the trend line, bumped into that. Then we rolled right back over, and we got more down. Then we had this big shot up. Okay. Wanted you to see this to understand it's not always going to be perfect. And this is exactly why I say don't use any one indicator to prove anything to you. You're going to get burned that way. Best thing to do is follow the trend. Look what happened just a couple days after this little trend line right here broke. Bam, it took off. Now, I didn't catch this thing perfectly. I want to say I bought in at, yeah, right there's my buying line, 56 cents and some change. That's where I bought. 56 and some change. So I bought right here, right around this high. All right. This little peak right here. I said, if it breaks that peak, it's probably going to go more. And it did, which is awesome. That's the MACD. It's not super fancy. Last piece to this. Whenever you see this thing go really high on the MACD bar here in the bullish area, have a look back and see how often has it ever done that? How often has it gone this high? Look at the other peaks. Kind of the same as this one, which was kind of the same as that one, which is kind of the same as that one, which is kind of the same as that one. And then look at this shit back here. This is the bull run in 21. This is the last effort in 21. And then look at this one. The next highest peak since 21 is this. All right. How often does it go way up there? And the answer is not very often. All right. If we go back in history and look at previous bull runs, I want you to look what happens right before the MACD goes wild. Look how high that went. It's insane, isn't it? It's insane. It's never gone that high again, by the way. In relation, look how small the hump on the right is to all the way back here in 2017. A wild ass run, yeah? I would agree. Right before we have a run, we usually get a peak, and we got that here. All right. Same thing right here. We got a peak, couple peaks, and then the big bull run happened. Look what we're getting now, a peak. Now, we're not humongous peak, but something. All right. It's cool. I'm finally seeing, and I'm just looking at a little bit of a pattern here on the MACD. Every corner will be a little different, but you can use that to gauge, hey, man, this thing's a long way. I said last thing, there is one more piece to this. Once you see that orange line cross over the midline and go back into the red here, she's usually going to go farther. Not always, but usually going to go farther. And here's a good example. It broke through right here and went down farther. Broke through here, went down farther. Broke through there, thought about it, and then went farther. Broke through here, went farther. Right? Use that to your advantage whenever you see those moving averages, the blue and the orange, start to cross over. You know, this thing might be bearish. We should probably be careful. This thing might be going the wrong way on us. And sure enough, as we've said, what is the chart doing? You know, kind of showing bearish here. Now, I'm of the opinion that this will go do more later. I'm here for it if it does. But you cannot deny that that is a surefire, no matter how I draw it, downtrend here. Surefire. And if I grab this peak right here, it's almost exactly the same. Whatever, it's so close. I'm just being super picky at this point. You could see it on the 4 hour maybe. Yeah, there you go. It's so close to perfect. That's good enough for me. All right. This just simply hasn't broken. If it breaks, excellent. It's exactly what we've talked about before as an example here. Let's assume that it's gonna. It breaks right over here. Excellent. Are we going to have an 821 cross? That's right about where the 821 EMA are, as a matter of fact. Let's dial that in a little bit here. That's right about where the 821 EMA would be crossed, right in here somewhere. All right. That would be our go sign. If we got over that trend line on the 4-hour and got an 821 EMA cross, that would be good. I'd like to see it break these highs and get above those, right? No guarantee that happens. That would be the definite yes, sir move. And that would probably be about daily chart too. You would see that on the daily. From there, what would our MACD look like? If that happened, that means our MACD would have crossed over and turned up. It would have crossed and turned right over here, just like this one would have. Now, again, we'd like to see it break these highs right here and go up here somewhere. If that happened, we're going to get right near the midline here on the MACD. Excellent. And that means we could continue to keep going up. As long as that blue stays over the orange, keeps going, well, our price will keep going. All right? It's not that complicated. And I'm just showing you this on 4-hour because the daily doesn't have that much data. All right? I don't particularly think anyone should go down to 4-hour and do this. I think it should be monthly, weekly, daily, and that's it. But that's the MACD. That's how I use it with Confluence. You could even stack the RSI in there with it. If you've watched any live streams, you see me have way more than just one thing on the chart, right? So 4-hour. Oh man, look at that. It almost went oversold. I'm sorry. It almost went oversold, didn't it? Almost. It did go oversold back here, double oversold. So let's go look at that on the chart. So right here, it went double oversold and then moved up off the bottom. Not a ton, but some. And then it rolled back over and quit. MACD crossed over right here. Same time the 821 crossed over, you had Confluence there telling you to stop. And now the price is lower. Now you may get back in at the same price, whatever. That's not the point. Point is you can kind of see the Confluence is playing out on the chart. And you don't really have a definite go on the MACD. It's no help. And you did go almost oversold, but you haven't quite broken the 40 line or the 50 line here on the RSI. So right on the edge, you haven't broken the trend line. You don't have an 821 cross. It's a little bit more iffy here to buy. You may be taking a bigger risk than you need to take. Make sense, everybody? It's not as hard as we made it out to be, is it? Really isn't. Before people say, this is too much, straight up, I'll call bullshit on you. Before I just did this full time, it was 12 hours a day at work. I did this, what I'm doing now, plus ran the Telegram, because it was just the Telegram at first. Plus talked to people privately, plus did my own trades. Plus I have 2 kids. Occasionally I have 5 kids. Ton of shit to do around the house. Ton of stuff to do all the time. I'm Mr. Mom. There's no excuses. The only excuse you have is I didn't put enough effort in. All right? You want to be rich because that's what everybody wants to be. Well, you got to have some effort in there. Go ahead and tell me all the rich people who didn't try. They don't exist. They don't exist. And I don't care who you have a thing against. Doesn't matter. That rich person is rich because they busted their ass. You want to get good at this? You want to make maximum gains? You want to know how to get out? You want to know how to get in? This is how you do it. You try hard. You ask questions. You be around the right people and you work at it. You practice. You ask questions. You post charts. The more you do that, the more everything changes. And the more all of a sudden you turn into someone who goes, oh man, I see what's happening here. You have the light bulb moment. And then you go, damn, I see what he's talking about. That's crazy. And all of a sudden it isn't so crazy anymore, okay? Very important. So we do this all the time in our Discord. It's a whopping $8 a month. It won't be $8 a month much longer. Some of you are members and some of you are not. So I will share this link to you. It won't be this cheap much longer. We're going away from the $8 one. We'll be switching companies too, but I haven't got that finalized yet. So there you go. A whopping $8. That's a promotional link. Like I said, it won't be that price much longer. Those who are at $16 are kind of locked in. You can't really bounce out and get the other one. You have to get the $8 ones for new people only. Come in, ask questions, share charts. The unlimited chat is loaded. Crypto charts loaded. We have Forex trading that goes all the way down the low time frame. I lost money today. I made money 7 days in a row before I lost money today. I'm down overall just a little bit, but at the same time, I took some big risks at first and I paid for that. So still at about 66% win rate, which is great. I'm going to keep hammering away at it. Don't want to do that. We have a stocks and equities section. We have fundamentals. If people love fundamentals, they are free. They don't cost anything. The Forex chat room is free. It doesn't cost anything. The unlimited chat. Also, for the $8, you get the unlimited chat. We do these Zooms every night after a live stream, and you can ask the same questions I just talked about as part of it anytime you want. You also get your own thread in unlimited chat, so you can have your own questions in your own little section if you'd like. It's up to you. So, please don't be afraid to watch these and ask questions after. I try to answer every single one of them. And if you have a question, please go ahead and type it in there, and I'll try my best to get to them now. And if there is no other questions, man, we'll be good. We can get off of here, and I'll load this up on YouTube so everyone can watch it later. And like I said, it'll be in this list that is right here. Let me put the little the point up. There you go. There's the list. All right. Yeah. We also have other instructional videos that are literally the same thing I just showed you. They are free in the instructional videos channel. It's just live like this. It's a lot easier to learn and understand when you're watching it one-on-one. We've learned that. That's why I encourage people to watch, encourage people to ask questions. You learn so much more when it's interactive. It's just the facts. I've done hundreds of private consults with people who have said the same thing. It's totally different when it's one-on-one. So, when moon, I know, right? Soon is the answer. That's an easy one. Soon. That's simple. All right. So I'll put this on YouTube. Guys, have an awesome day. We'll be live in a few hours at 11 p.m. So that's 7 hours and some change from now. Again, Zoom after that.